Hello, my name is Christopher Cozier, and I'm an artist from Trinidad in the Caribbean. This work, to me, was my way of sort of responding to being in a place like the Emirates, but it was such an alienating environment. I come from a very tropical, green place, and when I got there, looking at that sort of arid desert landscape, it really freaked me out. And then, of course, the scale and the rate of construction and cranes and just the rate of development of these countries really had a big impact on me. And I thought a lot about a place like the Caribbean, what it must have been like, say, in the 17th and 18th century, when these islands with mobile indigenous populations living in harmony with nature suddenly became part of the larger Western industrial complex. And everything, the whole infrastructure was built by people from elsewhere. And that is what struck me about being there. All the labor, almost everything was being done by somebody from elsewhere. And the curator of the project, we were talking a lot about Marcus Garvey. And one of the things Marcus Garvey said when, Marcus Garvey himself was radicalized as, while he was a timekeeper for the United Fruit Company in Costa Rica, which was a situation of managing laborers from all over the world and building the train lines and moving the fruit for export. So, so I had this wacky idea because a lot of my work is about responding to new places or places in which I find myself trying to figure out, why do I see the world this way as a person that comes from the Caribbean? And what struck me about Sharjah is that it's an oil economy, it's an extraction model, from pearls to oil, and banking and all kinds of things. But there was this, all the labor was coming from elsewhere to build this place. And it made me wonder about the conditions of citizenship and what all these, how does this all work out? And maybe that kind of enterprise built on imported labor is what was the origin of the Caribbean as a society. So it kind of made me wonder, this is Sharjah's present, what will be its future? Because I live in a future like that, coming from a place like the Caribbean. So a lot of my work is about staging these gestures that seem obscure in a space, and then trying to figure out what it means. Because there's something, I don't want to explain too much, but the way that this scaffolding sticks out of the deserts, it's a kind of geometric space being imposed on the natural environment. And then there's a kind of sense of futility that these people appear and disappear, and I don't know what else, to say for now, but I hope this gives you enough to kind of sit down and reflect. What's also funny is that when I went there with all my ideas to stage this action out in the desert, some kids came that actually lived there and just kind of photobombed the whole shoot. So when I got back to my studio in Port of Spain, I built this video using the offtakes where the kids are sort of photobombing the shoot. And it brought up a tension between those who feel a sense of strong belonging because they live there and those who are simply there because of labor conditions. A different way of how one owns the space. And because these kids were telling us, guys, we run things, okay? We ain't taking you all on. This is our playground where we do pranks and play, and we don't care about you or what you're doing. And I found that really interesting. So that's it.